Good evening, everyone. Today I'm coming to you from Roke Island, a beautiful place. You can see I have a bit of a different background here today. It keeps changing up a lot lately, I know. And this week I happen to be on Roke Island doing some mapping work, and beautiful spot. I'm overlooking a little cloudy, but the sun's getting darker, and I'm overlooking the beautiful fields to the harbor down below and the dock, and it's very lovely. So today I'm going to tell you a story that comes from the Gospel of Luke. In it, you will hear about Mary and Martha, whom Jesus loved very much, both of them. They were like family to him. In this reading, Jesus is trying to help Martha to see something very important. He wants Martha to know that we need more than one kind of food and nourishment to help us grow. The food we eat at meals help us to physically grow and get big and strong, and gives us lots of energy. But also important is nourishment for our minds and hearts that help us grow in kindness and love. And we need both kinds of these foods to help us grow strong and healthy as individuals. So here is how Jesus teaches this to Mary and Martha. It was a hot day. Martha was working very hard. She liked to cook and make special meals for Jesus. Mary was making Jesus feel welcome and was sitting listening to him tell stories about God's love. As Martha worked making food for dinner, she could hear Jesus and Mary talking in the other room. But then she forgot how special it was to create this meal for Jesus. She began getting a bit angry. She thought that Martha was just sitting there, not doing any work. So she went in to Jesus. She put down the bowl, she went over to Mary and Jesus, and putting her hands on her hips and looking very angry, she said to Jesus, "Please tell Mary to come and help me. I'm doing all the work by myself." Well, Jesus stood up and took Martha's hand. "Martha, Martha," he said, with his voice filled with love, "you are worrying about too much and getting distracted from what is really important. Well, preparing the meal is important, and I thank you for your hard work. What Mary is doing is really important too. She is learning more and more about God's love." Jesus loved both Mary and Martha very much, and he wanted Martha to know, in addition to feeding our bodies, it's important to feed our souls as well by nourishing our faith. So we can look at this as how we nourish ourselves, both our own bodies and our souls, and it's how it's important to pay attention to both those things in our own growth. But it's also important to think for us to help those who might be struggling with either of those things in their own lives. So thinking about these things in other people. So just like it's important to help those who have trouble obtaining food and are going hungry, it's important for us to help those who might be struggling in other more hidden ways, like if they're saddened by a loss, if someone they loved has died, or someone who's struggling with their faith. And as you know, in our congregation, we try to help nourish others in both these ways, right? So we raise money to donate to organizations that feed the hungry, and we say prayers for those who are in need. Now, this story can also be looked at by considering Mary's faith compared not to food specifically, that the food that Martha was preparing, but just the way that Martha was showing love through action, right? So I know many people who, when someone's in need and are feeling down or sad or someone's died, what to do? You cook them food, right? So food itself, actually, it's an action, but it's also a way of showing love, and that's what Martha was doing. But it sort of brings up, okay, so Mary's faith and focusing on her faith, and Martha's actions. And in Martha's head, it was all about she was taking action, so she was doing what she was supposed to do, while Mary was feeding her faith. So when Jesus visits the home of these close friends of his, Martha's bustling around the home, preparing a wonderful meal for their special guest, and it's her way of showing care and offering welcome. And while Mary offers her welcome by being present with Jesus, taking the position of a disciple, sitting at his feet. And Jesus commends Mary for her eagerness to learn. Of course, then Martha feels overburdened by the task she has taken on of preparing dinner, and she asks Jesus to intervene and send Mary to help. But Jesus very gently lets her know that, she's lost her focus. She's troubled over too many things, and she needs to sort of refocus on what's important. So the story reminds us that there are two sides to the life of faith, both active work and reflective study. Jesus is not saying Martha's concerns are inferior, that she shouldn't be preparing this meal and taking these actions, right? Because people need to be fed. And hospitality is a means of ministering. So this is really important too. But Jesus indicates that Martha's worry and distraction are getting in the way of her ability to serve cheerfully and also be reflective. And in this story, Jesus really could have been speaking to women of all kinds and ages who could find encouragement to be learners and disciples and teachers, and not just, say, cooks or the preparers of meals and housekeepers. And Jesus's love for all people and Mary's love for Jesus and her faith is an important moment in demonstrating the effect of the gospel on the relationship of men and women and their roles, and on the future role of women in the church. So basically, you can't think about it as either or, right? It's all about balance. It's how all of us, men and women alike, can share and grow our faith, both through action and through reflection, through nourishing our bodies and through nourishing our souls. So that's all for today. Signing off from Rogue Island, and who knows where I'll be coming to you from next week, but I will see you then, wherever it is. Have a great week.